Euclidean geometry is like learning to drive a car. Now, when you are going to learn to drive a car, you might not want to get in a car for the very first time and then go and try to drive on a highway. There's going to be a set procedure of steps that you're going to follow until you can get to the end goal, which is driving out on a public road. So the first thing you're probably going to want to do is to learn the names of the controls and what those things do. So you've got steering wheels, you've got a brake pedal, you've got an accelerator, all that sort of thing, and they do different things. And then we've got to learn how these controls work together. So we might know that in order to change gears, we have to depress the clutch. And then we're going to start practicing maneuvers. So this would involve things like taking off, parking, turning, all that sort of thing, where these controls work together in a very specific way. So if you, for example, want to turn, you first have to slow down using the brake. Then you'll have to change to a lower gear using the clutch and the gear lever. And then you'll have to turn using the steering wheel. And at some point, you probably should have signaled your intention using the indicator as well. And then once you are done practicing your maneuvers and you feel reasonably confident in those, only then do you reach the end goal and you start driving on the road. So learning Euclidean geometry is actually quite similar, right? So the first thing that you need to do is to learn the circle terminology and anatomy. So you've got to know what's a diameter, what's a radius, what do we mean by segment, subtend, tangent, all of these things. Because without knowing what those things mean, well, then the theorem statements are just going to be gibberish. And then after that, we learn the theorems. So a Euclidean geometry theorem is basically a bunch of elements, I call them, that go together. So for example, the tan chord theorem has something to do with a tangent and three chords and an angle between the tangent and the chord and an angle in the opposite segment. So all of those things are elements. They're part of the circle's anatomy. And if you have specific things that go together, then you can make inferences from those. So then once you know how the elements work together, then you can move on to practicing those individual theorems that you want to use in order to solve problems. And only once you're comfortable practicing those individual theorems and you can apply each theorem in particular cases, then you go out on the road. So in our metaphor, you're going to go start practicing those complex questions. You're going to do past papers. But you're not going to start on day one by doing the complex questions because you haven't quite yet laid the foundation.